At the end of each year, my wife and I jot down the good, the bad, the funny, and enjoyable things that happen throughout the year. And we keep these yearly musings in a single folder for us to go back to. I have a feeling that our 2020 document will be full of unique challenges and blessings. And today I want to go through a similar exercise for crossing borders in this challenging year. Hi, I'm Chung and I'm Executive Director and Co-founder of Crossing Borders. We have been helping North Korean refugees since 2003, and it has been the privilege of my life to be a part of this work. As I begin to reflect on 2020, and specifically with Crossing Borders, I'd like to share first 3 prayer requests, then give 3 things that give me hope. I'll start with our prayer requests. The first prayer request is for continued growth for Crossing Borders. Crossing Borders has experienced growth this year despite the pandemic. We opened operations in South Korea this year, and our China operations are slowly growing despite major restrictions on the movement of our missionaries and staff. We hope and pray that as global restrictions lift, Crossing Borders will be able to help more and more refugees. This brings me to our second prayer request, which is for coronavirus restrictions to lift. One of the greatest difficulties of this year came from hampered movement from country to country that restricted our ability to visit refugees. South Korea requires that all incoming travelers quarantine for 14 days in a government facility, and China requires the same, and to travel anywhere within the country, an additional 7 days is required. As these restrictions lift, we can resume ministering to our refugees face to face again. And finally, please pray for God to send a social worker for Elam House. If COVID-19 vaccines are as promising as studies show, movement in South Korea will no longer be hampered, and as a result, we will likely have more residents in Elam House. Our missionaries have been working around the clock at Elam House while managing our field operations in China remotely. This is a Herculean task and is wearing on them. COVID-19 has restricted the number of job applications that we would have normally received for this position. Please pray that God provides a faithful and capable social worker for Elam House. And looking forward to 2021, here are 3 things that make me hopeful. First is time. December 31 will mark the passage of another year. This is painfully obvious, but as difficult as 2020 has been, it has to end at the stroke of midnight on January 1. Time moves us forward, and as the days, months, and years go on, we will be able to process what took place this year. And in Psalm 90:12, Moses asked God to teach us to number our days so that we might gain a heart of wisdom. I am looking forward to a different year, but I am also looking forward to the perspective that time will give me on this year. The second thing that gives me hope is resilience. Working with North Korean refugees has taught me that the human race is truly resilient. North Koreans are not by nature more resilient than other people. They have simply been put in a situation where their innate God-given resilience is used. As humanity turns the chapter from COVID-19 to the future, I am confident that those of us who have been blessed to survive or avoid the pandemic will not only move forward, but thrive in the years to come. And lastly, the most important source of my hope is God's past faithfulness. January 1, 2021 will mark Crossing Borders' 18th birthday. We have seen many trials as an organization, and now we can add a global pandemic to the list. And only by God's grace have we survived them all. Sometimes it seemed as if everything was stacked against us. We've lived through all kinds of conflict, both internal and external. We have had to fire corrupt staff. We have seen all levels of persecution as other missionaries and organizations were kicked out of China, and yet here we are. The thing that has always been true about this work is that it is impossible to take credit for any of this. God has made it abundantly clear that it was Him. So whatever 2021 brings, for better or for worse, I can rest that He is in control. I'd like to personally thank all of you for your ongoing prayer and financial support. We are only able to do our work because of partners like you. From all of us at Crossing Borders, we wish you and your family a happy new year. We look forward to seeing all that God has in store for us in 2021.